Thanks. We're live. Hey guys.
Oh shit, I wasn't ready.
Babe, I asked you
No,
if
I
you
know.
were ready.
I was ready. Never mind. Just ignore me.
I think Godzilla needs to be recharged. Oh well. Hello, welcome everyone to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Make sure you check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com, and check out the contest page where all the free stuff can be found. Thank you for watching us right now on YouTube and Facebook. We are also on the Instagram and Twitter. So make sure you go like, share, thumbs up, send stars, send hearts, send bubbles, send coins.
I don't think there's stars or bubbles to send.
There are on Facebook. You can send people
you?
stars, which equates to cash.
Well,
I'll take your stars.
I'll accept cash.
Stars, bubbles, hearts.
So are they sending us cash? Is Facebook sending us cash?
I have no idea how it works, but I see people sending stars.
I just want the cash.
Yo quiero dinero.
I don't care who sends it.
Okay, well, send us whatever you want to send us.
Send me cash. I have a lightsaber problem. Right, go ahead.
All right.
I gotta open my...
Oh, somebody said review it without giving anything away. Well, Robert, let me send you to our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com.
Oh.
I'll be like, Robert, I have no idea who you are.
You don't get to say that.
I'm just say reply to Michael Fraley. Shameless plug. hollywoodmatrimony.com.
All right.
All right. So we have a lot to talk about. We always start this and we're like, we don't really have anything to talk about, but we have like 7 movies to tell you about today.
Nothing like eating peanut butter cracker when you need to talk.
Oh, why did you do that? Silly head.
My hunger got ahead of me.
Something. All right, friends. I think I have things in pretty decent order. Hold on. I need to have my screen ready to share. I'm over here like, let's start the show. I'm ready. I'm not ready.
Hey, you're going away to yells.
I know. Hold on. Well, I'm over here.
Why is this here all in the pieces?
It fell down when I hit my head. Did you see I have a big like red mark here? I know. So put that up. No crying. I totally hit my head on the stand that holds our camera because I was bending down to get something and it totally stabbed me and I can totally see it. It's right there. It's bruised. It's bruised.
She's over dramatic.
Well, I also covered it with makeup like I'm an abused spouse.
She's over dramatic. Anytime she bumps her head or does something, suddenly there's a massive injury
it's
that
massive.
Nobody can see, but she can see it, but it's because she knows that's where she hit it.
Well, I also put on
She's fine.
makeup this morning. Okay, so let me share.
You want me to give you something to cry about?
Let me share my screen. Oh my gosh, I don't know what this thing is. Share my screen. Share this screen.
Can we start the show?
That's what I'm trying to do, boo. All right, first movie. I'm going to go in this order.
Okay, whatever.
All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is The Mystery of Marilyn Monroe, The Unheard Tapes. This is a special documentary that is on Netflix now. You can go watch it. And it's basically a lot of interviews from people who knew her or worked with her in the earlier days.
I didn't see it, so I need to crack it.
Yeah, and a lot of her own recordings. And it's interesting because this particular documentary man went back. He's like, I don't believe it was just a simple overdose. Something else must have been going on. It's one of those that doesn't, they think there's more to the story, which is fine. So he's digging into the why. Why did this happen? How could this happen? And it's interesting because in some of the older tapes, a lot of these tapes really did happen during the original investigation. And there's some where the man's like, yeah, I'd rather not talk about that. So there's something there. So he's gone through the trouble to go back to the beginning. He's like, to solve the story, I went back to the beginning. The story is actually very sad. I mean, I think it's a lot of what we know now, but because of Me Too, it's exposed. But at this time period in her career, poor thing, she was honestly used and abused to make her way to the top. But at that time period, that's what women had to suffer through. And one guy actually went on record. He worked at the studio then, and he knew some of the top executives. And he's like, all the executives at all the different studios kept a list of the women, he said, basically, that you could lay.
Yeah.
And she was in the black book. And that is so sad that time period, that's what you had to do to get ahead in your career.
The casting couch.
It's so sad. And then they went through her marriage with Joe DiMaggio and how he abused her. But he was smart enough, not smart enough, but it was sagaz, astute enough. I had to think of it in Spanish to not ever hit her in her face. He would grab her and shake her, and she'd show up with bruises all over her arms.
I do.
And one of the makeup ladies was like, "Yeah, I'd have to cover her arms because it was. I think this was during the Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend kind of thing, and her arms were always out and all this and that." And they talked to some of the costumers and how they were forcing her to wear some of these really skimpy outfits you see in some of the movies that she just was not comfortable wearing, but that's what they expected her to do if you want to keep your job, or if you want. So it's just so sad. Her life is very sad. So anyways, if you are a fan of Marilyn Monroe or interested in her life and even her passing, this is a very interesting documentary. I'm learning a lot and I feel bad.
And there's a movie coming soon too. I believe it's coming to Netflix that stars Ana de Armas as Marilyn Monroe. And it's already gotten like a pretty hard R rating. I think I read the article and it's got one of the strongest sexual content ratings for a Netflix thing in a while. So I'm assuming they're going to go all in with all this crap.
Yeah, I mean, her story, it's sad and it's rough and it's devastating. Interestingly enough, there's this whole other little short thing that I found. It was just on the internet about a couple that recently purchased her old house in the hills, and the lady dresses up like her and all that, but they kept a lot of the original decor, and that part's kind of really interesting, kind of lighthearted, not like the story, which is kind of sad at the moment. But anyways, yeah, so there's a lot out there about her.
That's not the number we're on.
No, it was in 293.
Well, it says 291.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna just.
It doesn't matter. I just saw it.
Yeah. Anyway, so check it out. It's on Netflix right now.
Maybe they've released this in preparation to promote for that movie.
Yeah. And remember, there was that other movie, My Life with Marilyn, or My Weekend with Marilyn, or whatever it was. That was a great movie too. So it's just interesting how she had so little control over her life, and it's just kind of tragic.
It's interesting. Her and Anna Nicole Smith, who kind of had modeled her life after Marilyn Monroe, kind of had the same life.
Yeah.
A lot of the same stuff. It's very
sad. Anyways, okay. We're moving on to the next one. Did you grab this or no?
I never did. The next one is the anniversary edition 4K release of Brian De Palma's The Untouchables, starring Kevin Costner and Sean Connery and Robert De Niro and Andy Garcia. If you don't know anything about it, it's kind of a fictionalized version of
a true story.
The true story of Elliot Ness and Al Capone and the Treasury Department, the untouchable groups, that the kind of Treasury squad, if you would, that kind of had carte blanche to do whatever they had to do to take these people down. So a lot of the stuff's in the movie isn't really what happened in real life. Frank Nitti didn't die like he did in the movie, and I don't think Elliot Ness had a lot to do with the actual taking Capone down of his tax stuff or the courtroom scenes or any of that stuff. But it's Hollywood and you're taking things. It's a damn good movie. I love this movie. Someone over here almost had to get a punch in.
Yeah, I'd never seen it. How is this possible? And it's funny because I remember my dad talking about Los Intocables in Espanol, obviously. So he's seen it, and he was a fan.
But there's other versions of it too.
Yeah, so I don't know which one, but he's obviously way more involved than I had no idea. But growing up, I told you I only watched Wonderful World of Disney and Mutual Omaha. So what do I know?
Jesus Christ! Half the people, you're so old. Half people don't even know what the Mutual Omaha is.
It was fun.
No, it wasn't.
Anyway,
so what did you think of the film?
I really like this movie. It's interesting.
That's not what you said the other day. You were like, "It was all right."
No, I liked it.
Now you really like it in front of the world.
Okay,
for me, you're like,
I liked it. Okay, I liked it. I don't think it was like the greatest movie ever. I think it feels a little dated. But
the movie takes place in the 30s. How dated
I know.
Prohibition, sister.
It's fine. And Prohibition was dumb.
It was dumb.
But anyways, I like the performances, and I like seeing very young versions of like Andy Garcia and Robert De Niro and all that. That's kind
Robert De Niro wasn't that young in that, but yeah.
But he's younger. I mean, now he's like
so fun fact about the movie. Like, I love this movie. I remember the first time I saw it when it came out. And I was just like, this movie is so cool. Like, it's funny though, watching a movie that's old and seeing it through the eyes of when I saw it the first time, and seeing it now in comparison to everything we've seen since. and kind of in the room what you're talking about dated. It doesn't feel dated to me because of it's being a period piece.
Correct.
But I remember it being way heavier action than it actually is. There's a lot of action in it, but I remember it being way more intense and I think all of it stems from the way that final sequence on the stairs is shot. Or not the final, but the sequence on the stairs with the baby, which is one of the most iconic scenes of that movie.
Yes. Yes.
You take everything thinking it's that
level,
and it's really
well.
not,
And it's interesting because to me, the scene that I felt was the most impactful wasn't even that. I thought it was the one with what's his name, like crawling after he's been shot, and he's like, "Oh, you got to get the bookkeeper." You know, I thought that to me was much more dramatic and impactful.
And Sean Connery won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for this film.
That's pretty cool.
But fun fact on this film too is De Niro had to gain a bunch of weight to play Al Pacino. I mean, Al Capone. He didn't play Al Pacino. He played Al Capone. And a couple of things is like he was so into the character, like he couldn't gain enough weight in time because back in the day, De Niro was pretty ripped at times. But
hadn't he been doing some boxing things?
He had done Raging Bull, and even if you see him in Cape Fear, he's pretty ripped and shredded, and so he had to put on a bunch of weight because Capone was kind of a big fatty, and I can say that now. But he had to wear padding and stuff. But he actually tracked down the tailor or the shop or whatever it is that made suits for Capone.
How cool is that?
So he could wear the same suits.
That's cool.
And he even wore like silk underwear because Capone only wears silk underwear. And the studio was like, nobody's going to see that. And he's like, it doesn't matter. It was full method to be into that thing.
Well,
so,
all the suits were Armani. So probably that same style.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
I love this movie. One thing I will say is I think what actually kind of hurts these kind of movies is the 4K transfer. Because it takes that Hollywood look it had then, and it makes it feel way older Hollywood.
Correct.
Because everything looks like it's on a set. It looks like
see,
Singing in the Rain. It looked like Singing in the Rain would look when it was new.
Yeah.
But now because the 4K is so much more vibrant.
Yeah.
It looks like
there's part of it that it feels grainy because it's like when you take like an old photo or something, you blow it up and you can kind of see.
And I think that's because they did that to make it look a little.
Yeah, because that's what you were saying. You're like, this totally looks like a set. And when you were little, you don't remember it being that way.
because it didn't look like this when I was a kid. I mean, I'm sure you could tell it was sets, but I mean, it didn't have that same
grit
thing. Yeah,
but it was textured.
I still love the movie. It's
a good movie. It was a good movie.
How dare you?
I liked the other scene better than the baby scene was good. It was.
Yeah, the baby scene's good, but
because I'm like, something's gonna happen to this baby. Like you didn't even have to tell me. I'm like, oh gosh.
I just remember flashing back to the first time I watched
dramatic.
that, and being so annoyed with that lady in her life. And I'm like, where is the father?
Wow.
And why are you? And then I'm like, she's clearly running away because she's got her baby, she got luggage, and I'm like, and where are the ramps in this train station?
Yeah, they didn't have that for disabled.
Does not meet any kind of code. And why is it taking so long for anybody to help this woman?
They're gonna help her. You see all the people walking by her.
At one point, I'm just like, why don't you just pick your baby up and just drag that thing up the stairs?
That's what I thought too. That's what I thought too. I was like, pick up the baby, put the suitcases in the thing, and drag the thing up. Wait.
It's a long staircase.
Anyway. I'm just waiting. I'm patiently waiting.
Anyway, the new 4K release of The Untouchables is hitting this week from Paramount. Also, what's really funny is I haven't owned a copy of The Untouchables since VHS.
Oh, wow.
And I kept like, man, I want to buy The Untouchables again. And so when they re-released all the James Bond movies, in those white releases when they separated them by the actor.
Yes.
Part of that set, not that set, but they had also put out whatever collection that was with those white covers. They had put out the Goodfellas set. They put out an Untouchables. They put out a bunch of them. And I got most of them. And I've had the Untouchables sitting in an Amazon cart for years, thinking I'm going to go buy that one of these. And then I forget about it. And then I see it. So now I like finally have it again. I was very excited. So anyway, the Untouchables will be available on 4K from Paramount this Tuesday.
All right.
Moving on.
Oh, next.
Oh, God. All right.
It's time for Cool Rider.
Lord of mercy.
Let me blow this up big so y'all can see it. Hey, we are now talking about the 40th anniversary Steelbook edition of Grease 2. Hey, this is the one with Michelle Pfeiffer and what's his name?
Maxwell Caulfield.
Maxwell Caulfield. who's Michael Carrington.
Who's
Stephanie.
most of you later people might know him from Empire Records. He was a celebrity guy that was coming in. I don't remember the character's name now. Rex Manning.
There you go.
He was Rex Manning, and everybody was hot for him. Renee Zellweger, I think, had relations with him.
There you go. Godzilla's going to hold that for us.
Which one had relations with him in Empire Records?
I don't even remember that movie.
You don't remember the Empire Records with
no.
Liv Tyler?
I know what you're talking about.
You remember it then. It was Rex Manning Day, so the whole premise of the movie is where he was coming to sign on. He was some heartthrob singer. It doesn't matter. Talk about Grease.
Anyways, okay, this is the 40th anniversary edition re-release on Blu-ray and digital. It is awesome, and I watched it yesterday, and I was singing Cool Rider. Okay, we've always had this thing about Grease 1 and Grease 2. I've always been Grease 1. You've always been Grease 2.
Let's be clear.
If you don't like either one.
I don't like either one, but
if you had to pick one,
Grease 2 is my go-to.
Right.
If I had to.
I'm all about Grease 1.
But I know why Grease 2 is my go-to.
Why is that? Michelle Pfeiffer?
No. It's because it had that superhero, mysterious Batman-like character of him being disguised as the Cool Rider character. Yeah. It's a stupid premise.
Correct.
And there's no reason everybody shouldn't just know
That's
who
what
he
I'm saying. Now when you look at it, it's like you can totally tell it's just him.
It's the Robin mentality. Why doesn't everybody know that Dick Grayson is Robin when he's just got the little mask? But I think that connected because I was like, ooh, this is like a superhero. He does nothing superhero related.
Not at all.
Except for his one jump.
Yeah. So basically the story is Stephanie Zamoni or whatever is a part of the Pink Ladies.
Now,
and to date a Pink Lady, you have to be a T-Bird in the motorcycle gang. And so this guy transfers from Australia or wherever.
Now, isn't he the cousin of somebody?
He is the cousin of Sandy from Grease 1, who's this chick right here.
Well, because I know that they originally talked to Travolta and Olivia Newton-John about making appearances in this one, and then it just never happened.
It didn't, yeah. So the only one that carries over is Frenchie.
Well, there's
Eugene.
The school teacher, some of the
school
principals,
teachers
and
the principals and that. But
so this is essentially just a different school year.
It's a different year, a different group of seniors, I guess. So it could have
doing
been
the exact same crap.
A couple of years, who knows? Yeah, doing the same thing. So he has to go become a cool rider, motorcycle guy to impress them, win the girl. Basically, is the story. Nothing exciting. I think the thing I don't care for in Grease 2, to me, the musical numbers are so long. And in Grease 1, I don't feel that way. And I don't know if it's because in the original, I'm like so used to that. And I know all the songs that I sing.
I think they're just as the same, but I don't know. Is Grease 2? I always think it's the first one, but I'm pretty sure. In Grease 2, the one where he's trying to get her to have relations at the end of the world? Or is that Grease 1?
Bomb. No, that's
in the bomb shelter?
The bomb shelter. Yeah, because they're talking
about I always thought that was a funny
Cold
scene.
War
I'm like, well, I'm going to try this one day.
Bomb shelters. Yeah, so it's this one.
Then there was never a war when I could do that.
And then I was reading some other things online where they're like, oh, Grease 1 is just so perverty and nasty, and Grease 2 is not. But I'm like, I think Grease 2 is more nasty because they have this whole song about pollination and sperm and
but that's
junk,
your learning,
I guess. I don't know. I thought Grease 2 is nastier, but whatever. But I like Cool Rider is my favorite song. So, and I love
from both movies or just this one movie?
From both.
Oh, okay.
But I also love me some Michelle Pfeiffer. Probably just ran like a normal love of Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes.
So who knows?
Well, what's funny is about, if you don't know some little fun facts about this movie.
Tell me some facts.
They originally, I believe, were planning to do 4 Grease movies. And this one bombed pretty badly. So they scrapped the idea. And I read somewhere, and I don't know if this is officially true or not. I just read an article about it, that they said eventually Disney retooled the Grease 3 script and it became High School Musical.
Oh, wow. That makes sense.
That was actually Grease 3.
Yeah.
But obviously they made it something different because they never went back to do Grease.
Yeah.
And you might already know this, but like Adrian Zmed played Zuko on the Broadway version.
Oh, and the other,
whatever version, theater.
Yeah,
version,
that's kind of cool.
Production, whatever. So it's interesting little things, and I think there was who was it? Tom Cruise apparently auditioned. They said he was too short.
He's a little
shorty man. There was somebody else. There was a bunch of ladies that were
that
on the
is
short
difficult.
List. I don't think they wanted Michelle Pfeiffer. I think if I remember correctly, I don't remember if it was the producer or the director did, but the other people didn't.
Wow.
But they liked her because she was really kind of quirky and off.
Yeah.
And so it
She's
kind
Michelle
of,
Pfeiffer.
that's how she is. Yeah. So
I mean,
anyway.
what had she done before this? Had she done the?
This is one of her earlier films. I
Okay.
don't think she was really well known. This is also one of those movies that I think they all, Maxwell Caulfield hated anything about this movie after it bombed, because I think he was the new guy that was on the way up as the new heartthrob and was going to be the big star, and he blamed this movie for kind of crashing and burning and not really going anywhere that everybody seemed he was going to go. And then it took him a while to kind of find his way back out of it and kind of find a career again. But whereas Michelle Pfeiffer obviously had no issue.
Yeah. So was it really the movie or was it
I don't know, it's a pretty bad movie.
Anyways,
Anyway.
yeah. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's more for nostalgia, and Scarface was after this.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Or well, was it after this, or did she shoot it at the same time?
And she might have shot it. Well, it
Oh,
came
it's
out the year
82,
after.
So who knows?
No, but she was so thin in
Yeah.
Scarface because she had to be. But man, I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Anyway,
Grease 2 is available now to go buy here.
I don't think it's available yet. I think it's
Oh,
available.
it's available this coming week. I
think so.
apologize.
I don't remember.
So you can get your 40th anniversary edition. And then also they put out the 40th anniversary edition of the first Grease, which would have been 4 years ago because it's 4 years before.
Oh, you're not saying they just put out the 40th anniversary now? I was like,
no, this one, the 40th anniversary of the original Grease came out about 4 years ago because that was made 4 years before.
I think they put a 4K of that out.
And I love this movie. I love Grease. I don't think it's gross or perverty or whatever that one dude was saying. But
it is pervy, but I don't find it.
It's fine.
Whatever. I just think it's a bad
We
movie.
watched it at Girls Club. So how perverted could it be?
I just think they're both bad movies. I mean, they're just not my thing. It's like,
not your
what
cup
it
of
is.
tea.
Yeah.
All right.
What it is.
We're moving on then to something completely different.
Why is that on there? We already talked about that, didn't we?
Did we? No, we didn't.
We didn't. Okay.
We didn't. It was
no,
on.
we
It
were
was
supposed
on
to
your
do it
website
last week, and we didn't do it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's one I forgot about.
All right, guys.
We haven't even discussed it yet.
We have not talked about this together. Let me blow it up so you can see it.
Of Uma Thurman.
This movie is called Umma, which means mother. And
does this movie do the David Letterman bit of Umma Oprah?
No, it stars Sandra Oh, as you see there in the photo. But there is some stuff going on in this movie, y'all. Lord have mercy. It says a mother's love never ends. Okay, so this is billed as, I guess, a horror thriller. Basically the story is Sandra Oh's mother passes away and they come and bring her ashes and her belongings. And then once her remains arrive, weird things start to happen. And kind of the story unravels itself that she does not speak to her mother or her family or whatever for the past gazillion years. She's completely cut all ties with them because of things that happened in her childhood. So that's what you need to know. Okay, tell me, what did you think?
It's all right. Here's my thing. I think it had a strong foundation.
Agreed.
I think it was an interesting look into not only, I don't really want to say child abuse, but that kind of thing, and PTSD from that thing, but also the cultural impacts that different cultures have to deal with, and how it's looked at as dealing with your parents and how important your parents are to certain cultures, no matter how your feelings are on them and respecting of them, especially Asian cultures. It's very much, it doesn't matter how they treated you. You always respect your parents. And I thought that was such a strong idea to build from, but I don't think the film ever really went anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just okay.
Yeah, I agree with you on the cultural look at the film. I think, no, I'm good. Yeah. I think Latin culture is very similar to Asian culture in that way, which is why I absolutely connected with like the Panda movie. I mean, that whole idea that you respect your family and your parents and you do everything they want you to do no matter what. It doesn't matter. You just do it. And I think that's a concept that's very foreign to real Americans, like American Americans. It's a different concept. So in this one, they bring the remains of the mother because now it's her responsibility as a child to build a proper altar to make sure her remains are taken care of and that she's always honored. But because it's dealing with this whole child abuse issue, it's kind of a weird relationship. Now, I think we were like right on the tippy tip verge of going to cool horror realm, and
Yeah.
then never really went there.
Yeah, and I think it was cool because it's showing going back to that cultural thing and the child abuse mentality. It's also showing how it carries on
Yeah.
one person to the next
Yep.
person, and even though that person's trying not to
Be
be
abusive.
like their mother, but also not be abusive, they are being abusive in a way that they don't realize it because they're
Yes.
trying to protect
Yes.
from becoming what she already went through. But by doing that, she's doing the exact same thing.
Correct. She's because
It's just disguised in kindness.
Yeah, so she's very isolated. Her and her child, her now the Sandra Oh and her daughter, because of what happened to Sandra Oh in her childhood. Like you said, she's trying to like be her best to completely block out everything, but she's literally blocked out everyone of their life. And so this child is so isolated, and that itself can be a form of abuse.
I think it would have worked
by keeping
better
them alone.
Even with the horror element. But if you got rid of that, I think it would have made a more compelling story of maybe the first half of the movie showing her childhood and dealing with what she dealt with and then why they separated and what made her leave or whatever. Then jump ahead to now her own family and dealing with the same impact of the mother's death and the importance of what she has to deal with and why she's so separated in the way she's fighting. Like there's a whole movie
It would have been a more dramatic.
There's a whole drama
story
there that didn't need any of the horror element.
Yeah, but
there's a whole other horror element.
Yeah,
had they gone deeper into.
That's what I'm saying. If they had done, if they had really gone with the horror thing, we could have really gotten into it. And I think we could have.
It walks in the middle line of not being either a film.
Yeah, that's I think what was kind of disappointing. If it was going to go horror, I wanted the full horror experience.
Sandra Oh's really good in it.
She's good.
She's good in the movie.
She's the whole movie, you know. But I think, especially with the Korean themes and knowing how a lot of Korean and Asian film with their horror, they can get into it like really deep and really well and very scary. I wish they'd done that.
Yeah, I think the problem was, and I'm speculating, I assume that making the film, they were trying to stick so much to the cultural aspect of the parent-child relationship and the abuse mentality, and that being the catalyst to the horror, but the horror was supposed to be that
the real life,
the glue that holds this thing together and makes it stick with you and makes you why it's so important that you have to do something to kind of further slap you in the face of like, you have to do this, you don't have a choice. And these horror haunting element, whatever you want to call it, is that thing. It's that invisible thing that we never see why you act that way towards your parents, and no matter what happens, this now we see it's here. You don't have a choice. But it never had that creepy, scary moment.
It was never one or the other. I mean,
it would just like walk right up to that point of being something kind of cool and creepy, and then it would either shift scenes because there's a whole subplot going on that kind of, I think, hurt the story, even though it would have worked better in that drama element.
Yeah, in the drama version.
So that every time we're almost there, it takes it away, and it never fully realizes, I think, what it could have been.
Correct.
It's not a bad movie.
And even to the point where you get to, I guess, a haunting-ish feel where something may happen to the daughter, we never really go all the way there either. You know, because it was like, if we're going to really do this, and it's like, I was abused and now my child's being haunting and she's going to like, do it. And I know it's not like, hey, let's abuse this child. But if you're going to do the horror elements and like lock someone up or tie someone up or drag them around, like do it for real.
I mean, they abused a child in the Untouchables. They blew her up.
I know, but I'm just...
No, I know what you're saying.
It says it's a haunting, but it's not.
That's the thing, is it never fully goes in. And even the end of it, it just kind of seems to end.
Yeah, and, well... And if they were going to do... They could have done two things, too. If they didn't want to go full scary, they could have done more of a psychological, like all the stuff's happening in her head kind of haunting.
There could have even been a whole thing of...
But they were doing a little bit of,
is it real, or is it even really happening? Or is it just her psychological effects of dealing with her mom?
That's what I thought we were going to go.
Paranoia.
But then they had a visual thing, and I was like, oh, it's going to be a physical haunting. But it was
a lot here.
It was never one or the other.
Not a lot realized. Yeah. So it's not a horrible movie, and I know people are going to find it, and some people will love this movie and connect, and other people are going to be like, this movie's trash, and there's going to be most everybody else, I think, will walk right down the middle.
Yeah, I'm just like, I wish there had been a little bit more.
But it's available now on the Blu-ray and DVD.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Decide for yourself. Check it out.
Yeah. All right. Okay, we're going here. You're going to have to tell me all about this.
All right. I've been super, super excited for this movie. for the Bob's Burgers movie. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I love Bob's Burgers. I've been watching it since the show premiered, but it's not a show I ever thought needed a movie. I didn't see the point in it. When they said they were doing a movie, I'm like, why? But I will tell you, this movie is awesome.
Okay.
You do obviously have to be a fan. If you don't find the show funny, you're not going to find the movie funny.
Correct. You're going to think it's dumb.
Yeah, I was actually talking to one of the parents at my Taekwondo class. They had just taken the kids, I guess, or their kids are fans of Bob's Burgers, so she had taken the movie. And she's like, it was kind of boring. She goes, I didn't know there was going to be so much singing.
It's a musical,
like, well,
right?
it's really not. There's only like, I want to say 3 or 4.
Does she not watch the show?
I don't think, not regularly enough.
But the kids do.
I'm like, in the show, they sing randomly. They sing at the end of every episode. So this was just bigger numbers, and I'm not a musical fan either, but they fit and they're funny. This movie reminded me very much of like the Simpsons movie when they got their big screen movie. It's very much just a big episode. They do go bigger. They don't really go over the line like you might want. Like if you're seeing a Beavis and Butthead movie or a South Park movie, you want it bigger than just an episode because those are more adult themed.
Right, you can do more.
This one, you can do everything you need to and stay within the confines of what you get on the television show because it's kind of that middle ground show.
Yeah.
But everybody got their own little arc. Everybody got their own moments to shine. It's hilarious. It was fun. This show is one of the most vibrant visually because it's always a lot of bright colors and details.
Yeah.
So seeing it on the big screen, it's very much, like this, like felt exactly like I said, the same as The Simpsons felt. But I thought this movie was awesome. I had a blast with it. I'd love to watch it again.
I'll watch it.
And it's one of those that wasn't necessary. They still could have done this exact episode in like a 2 or 3 part episode. They didn't need a movie. They could have easily put this out on like a straight to video movie. Either way, but I'm glad it got a big screen. And from what I read, it did fairly well this weekend. So
there you go. Well, that's good.
It's fun. Check it out. And I believe there's even a mid-credit scene or after-credit scene that serves no purpose other than just being funny. But if you like Bob's Burgers, check it out. There's not a lot I can tell you about it because
it's just like the show.
Yeah, there's not a lot. There's not really any spoilers per se of like surprises. It's Bob's Burgers. It is what it is, and it's the kids are funny. The adventures are going on are bigger, but they're funny, and there's a whole Bob's Burger food cart that they're dealing with, but they don't have permits, and it's funny. But you get a little more mystery solving in it because they find a body and there's all kind of stuff. So anyway, I loved the movie. I thought it was a blast.
All right.
Bob's Burger movies in theaters now.
All right. The other movie that hit theaters this weekend.
Some trash movie.
Some unknown guy, very little known guy in this little known movie called. Oh, wait, that's the old poster. Let me show you the new one. Sorry. Yes. Wrong one. Top Gun Maverick.
A movie that's been delayed numerous times. It was supposed to come out in 2020.
Yep. But I did have the old poster there so we could look at it and just compare and contrast, if you will. Yes.
Because we are in the minority in our normal discussions of Top Gun.
Really?
Because most people love Top Gun. I'm not talking about the original.
Okay.
Most people love Top Gun. It was a massive hit. It's an iconic movie.
Mm-hmm.
I have more of an appreciation for it now than I did when it came out. I remember seeing it and thinking, wow, this is way overrated. I don't understand why everybody loves this movie so much. I was just like, I didn't hate it. It's not a bad movie. It is a good movie, but it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've watched it with different eyes, different approach to movies and stuff a couple of times because they keep re-releasing it in different anniversary editions, I appreciate the movie more, but I still think it's an okay movie.
I agree. So I'd watched it once before, and so I watched it a few weeks ago before we saw the new one. And it's fine. It's an okay movie. I don't think it's great and amazing like everyone thinks, I guess. Well, that's what they do. It's a good movie.
The problem is, and we both have said this a couple of times, nothing happens in the first movie.
There is no real story, and there's no real thing that happens.
Yeah, the big action. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of action with the fighter planes and stuff.
Yeah, but that's all you're watching. You're just watching them roll around and shoot things.
His crew's in the first movie who's fine, but his character doesn't have a lot of depth. He's just kind of an ass.
Yeah.
The love story is just so forced.
No, because it's this.
Oh, you're going to go into that.
This is the truth of Top Gun.
Yeah.
It's all about gay pride.
The
It is.
It's not.
I'm not the only one that
I
thought
know
that.
the gay people.
There is a whole group of people that love Top Gun because for them
the
it's about
scene.
it's about gay pride.
It's not really.
It's a love story between him and Iceman.
Yes, it's not really, but that's what people find. Even Quentin Tarantino does a great spiel on it about it.
Yeah, that's okay.
Anyway, so it's one of those movies that people have wanted sequels for years and years and years. We all figured it was never going to happen. Tom Cruise said it was never going to happen at one point, but somebody came up with a good idea. They decided to do it. They said, all right, let's see what happens with this. And
so here
from the trailers, I was moderately excited.
Yeah, I was too. And it was good to see him kind of back in his element because I think that original Top Gun was one of the first ones where you see Tom Cruise did all his own stuff.
Yeah.
Like he fought to really learn how to fly the planes.
No, he didn't get to fly and do as much. There's a lot of CGI stuff, I think, mixed with the real stuff.
You know, this to me was kind of the beginning of his craziness of stunts.
Right. Probably. I personally, if I had to choose, I wasn't a fan when it came out, but I actually really like it now. Days of Thunder is my choice of the two, which is basically Top Gun on the ground in a race car. It's the same freaking movie, but in a race car. But I think it's a better movie of those originals.
Okay,
let's jump to Top Gun Maverick. It got delayed a couple of times because of the pandemic. Everybody kept waiting for it to get dropped on a streaming service or something else, and Tom Cruise said that is never going to happen, which is good because this actually has been his biggest opening film of all time.
And you need to see it on a big screen.
Yes.
I mean,
which is baffling to me because the movie only made, I think at the last count, hold on, I had it pulled up for a reason. I think at last count, without counting Memorial Day, I think it's actually 124 million for the weekend, which is a great opening, especially a pandemic opening.
Yeah.
But to find out that that's probably the highest Tom Cruise opening ever is baffling to me. I would have thought. Yeah, they said
even
this
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, they said this is his biggest opening weekend he's ever had.
Wow!
And they're estimating that after that it could jump up about 150 million after today and tomorrow
because of the holiday. This is very much a military Memorial Day type movie.
So we're gonna talk about this without spoiling it because we don't do that.
Yes.
But also it's there's not really a lot to spoil because the trailers kind of give you stuff, but it's not really a spoiler-ish movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty straightforward movie. The premise is this is the other aspect I was a little concerned going in. Why is Tom Cruise going to be back at Top Gun? Or are we just going to do Navy stuff and not actually use Top Gun? Because Top Gun is an actual training thing. But why would he be there? You know, especially when you see the trailer, it's very clear that he's not an instructor there. They're bringing him in. Why? Why do we need him for this? You know, and why is this old man not an admiral or a general or
and why is this old man not aged?
Yes, that's a whole nother issue. But I will say, I think this is the first time he's starting to look
Scientology.
Aged. Yes, I think he's actually started to look aged a little bit.
He's starting to look older.
Yeah.
Not his age, because he does not look his age.
No.
He looks a tiny bit older.
You don't know this, but Tom Cruise is 89 years old.
Scientology.
But the new movie, basically, the premise is he's been in the Navy all this time. He's never taken another rank. So he's still the same captain rank that he's been for God knows how long.
He hasn't made it because he's so honorary.
I think he's also doesn't want it because he wants to fly.
Yeah.
And he's like a test pilot now. And there's a mission that they're going to go on. And he is recommended by someone from the previous film, which they do say in the trailer, but I'm not going to say who it is.
Correct.
Because if you don't know it, it's a nice surprise, but it is a connection to the first movie.
Correct.
He is recommended by somebody specifically that knows him. He's the person you need to do this. And so they bring him in unbeknownst to himself. The people that bring him in don't want him there. Nobody wants him there. But he brings him in to train these Top Gun pilots.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the pilots is also connected to the first film.
Correct.
Which causes more drama. And of course, with any Top Gun movie, you have Tom Cruise on a motorcycle.
Yes.
You're going to have a volleyball. I think this time it's a football scene.
Correct.
And you're going to have a Tom Cruise love story.
Correct.
This time around, the football scene, I think, is better and not as homoerotic.
No, but it serves a purpose.
Yes.
That's the whole thing about this movie. There's an actual story.
Yeah, the first time it was just visuals, not the gay visuals. It was just a visual.
And if it is for you, that's okay.
Yeah. But the love story here makes so much more sense. It's believable because these two characters already have, and this is a character that we know from the original film, but we don't really know. It's like a throwaway mention.
Yes, and that's
but it's somebody that has history.
There's connection.
So instead of like I met you 3 seconds ago, I love you.
That's how I felt about the first.
That's how the first one is.
So
this one, there's history there, and so it makes it a little fun with their banter. And the action I thought was, I actually loved this movie.
I really like this movie. The first one's meh. This one's so good. It has an actual story. There's an actual mission, a reason to do all this training and the montage and all, like everything that happens, and it works. And we actually get some good diversity in this cast, and it's not forced, it's normal. And the love relationship makes perfect sense. And now that he's older, there's a new element to the whole relationship thing. And so that I really liked.
I like too.
It was so
there's
good.
a lot of fan service in the film, but it doesn't feel like fan service.
Correct.
If you don't know, and if you are a fan of the original but don't know this about planes, like I'm sure you didn't, in the original film they fly the F-14s,
which were awesome.
The F-14 Tomcats, which have the extendable wings and all that cool stuff. Those planes don't exist anymore. They don't use those. They've retired them. I mean, they exist, but they don't use them in the Navy anymore.
Them. Yeah.
So now they're using F-18s. Which are kind of what the Blue Angels used. And I know you're probably surprised that I know this much about planes.
I do. Because you're afraid of heights.
I'm not afraid of heights.
Well, you're
afraid of falling.
You're uncomfortable in really high things.
But yeah, I was obsessed with planes when I was a kid. I actually used to, I had another friend that always had like all these pictures of planes on his walls and stuff. And I'm like, dude, what I found out, there used to be a phone number for the Navy, for the Air Force, and I believe the Army, maybe the Marines as well.
Where you could get pictures.
That you just called them, and it was like an automated line, and you just left your name and number and said you'd love photos, and they would I would get them, I called them, and I would get in the mail a brown envelope. And it was just filled with 8x10s of different planes.
I did that, but for NASA.
Oh yeah,
like you could do that with NASA too. You would just send them a note.
I was obsessed for a while. Like I was doing model planes,
cool, babe.
And I had.
Why didn't you go fly a plane?
Because I was told I wasn't gonna be able to because I wore glasses, and that was before they changed a lot.
But now they do.
Yeah, but they. I used to go to air shows. I've seen the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels fly in person. I've seen Harrier jump jets. I've been inside some.
You
of the planes.
want to go jump out of a plane?
I don't. I've seen some of the. I've been inside some of the jets, like getting to sit there. But anyway. So that part I was always obsessed with, and I always loved the F-14. But I was like, I was more a fan of the F-16s, which I don't think the F-16s are around anymore. F-16, fun fact, you fly it from over here, not from here.
Oh, that's
way more maneuverable. They said.
Really?
Yeah.
I would think it'd be here.
That's what the Thunderbirds had.
Ah.
Anyway, so in the new movie they fly F-18s, but they do a nice little homage to the F-14, which I was like, oh, it was kind of cool angle. But again, that part of the film. The last act felt a little more Hollywood.
Yeah, a little unbelievable.
It almost went into a realm of Mission Impossible.
Yeah, and that's okay.
But it made it feel like a way more fun movie than just, here we fly again,
Yeah.
But
when I like that everybody actually flew their planes.
Well, okay, so they didn't.
Right?
They didn't fly. They were flying in the plane.
In the plane.
Yeah, so I got a little more verification.
I mean, by the way, I would not get one of those where you're like,
yeah, so
who would want to feel all that?
They released a featurette, and maybe we missed it or something, but the featurette made it seem like they were all flying their own planes.
But they were
So what they did is they did learn to fly.
Okay.
And then they all had to do the water escape training and the G-force training.
I would throw
and all
up.
that kind of stuff.
I would throw up.
What I read recently is most of them, and one of the other people that I know asked me when we were talking about it one time, well, they had to have other pilots in the planes. Like, no, they said that's it, but they did, in fact, have other people flying the planes, like actual Navy plane people. But they were in the backseat of the plane directing themselves. And so they really were getting the G's. They really were spinning. So all that stuff is real. The funny thing is an article just came out. They were talking about how the Navy basically rented the planes to them. I want to say it was like, I don't know if it was like $11,000 an hour or something. And one of the biggest stipulations was Tom Cruise cannot fly this plane. But because they knew Tom Cruise would probably try to fly it.
He will.
But I think he had a different one that they let him fly. Because I saw another thing where he was actually flying it. And the whole movie takes place on an actual course. That's an actual naval course where they shoot all of it. And all of it was fairly low level. They weren't shooting as high and some of the stuff. It doesn't matter. It still looks badass. And the fact that they were still in the plane.
That's so funny. Yeah, but I'm just telling you, this whole thing, I would throw up and vomit because they're going upside down and up and down and like.
What's funny is they all have barf bags.
Yeah, I need it.
So the guy that plays Iceman in this one, I don't know what his character is. Yeah, he's not Iceman, but he's kind of the pompous asshole guy.
Yeah, the jerky guy.
Glenn Powell, I think is the actor's name. He's kind of jerky. He looks like Iceman. It's very the same tone. if you look at the review, there's a poster of him on my review. It tells you everybody's names. But at the very bottom, scroll down. All the way down. There you go. He is
Hangman.
Yeah, he tells a story. I think it was on Jimmy Kimmel. That they're in the thing and they do whatever, and I guess he ate before he's supposed to, or either ate or they got delayed, and I don't remember what it was. Anyway, he said they took a turn and he said they had these commands he'd give this guy, and he didn't want to sound like a puss to the guy, so he's back there throwing up in this bag, right, or whatever it was, and he didn't have his thing clipped. So when the guy asked him if he was ready, he was like, "Hold on." But what the guy heard was like, "All right, you ready?" And so he did a barrel roll while he was throwing up, which then caused it to fall all in his face and everything else. It was a really funny story he was telling about. So anyway,
that's not cool.
But anyways, I personally think that this movie not only is it really, really good and stands alone on its own, it makes the original movie better.
I agree.
Because you're seeing Tom Cruise, his character's arc. You don't even miss, who's it, Kelly McGillis or whatever her name is?
Yeah.
From the first movie. I was wondering if we were going to kind of miss her in that story, but you don't, because you get the vibe of his character would probably never stick with anybody, and that's actually kind of addressed in the movie. I like the connections to the original movie. You have an issue with Miles Teller for some reason. I love Miles Teller. I think he's such a great actor.
I think he's a jerk. I mean, I don't know you, sir, but I feel like in real life you're kind of a jerk. And I don't know if it's just your face and your look. I mean, I got resting B face, and that's what people think about me. I will say,
he does have a swagger about it.
Yeah, I don't like that.
In a lot of the roles he plays, but I think he's perfectly cast because his characters need that swagger.
I guess. My favorite person is this guy, Bob. I love Bob. I don't even know who you are, dude, but I love you. Bob. And they're like,
just love him because
they're like, "What's your code name?" He's like, Bob.
No, I really enjoyed the movie, and it is one you need to see on the biggest screen possible, the loudest possible.
And it is good to see the first one right before you head into this one. It really is. And I liked our crowd when we saw it because people had their Top Gun jumpsuits on. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. There were a couple of them.
There was at least 3 Tom Cruises.
I was like, okay. Okay.
And the other cool thing too is the way they shot it when we were talking about a minute ago, where they shot it from inside the cockpit and the actors are kind of directing themselves. It makes you feel like not only seeing them, you're experiencing what they're dealing with. Like you're experiencing, you could get motion sickness in this movie.
It's crazy.
But it's not so bad like shaky cam.
Yeah.
So
no, it's not shaky cam, but it is like woo.
There's one specific scene that I think the best scene of the entire movie. I'm not going to give it away. I'm not even going to detail it. But I think the best scene in the movie is between 2 characters having a conversation, and the way it's handled in relation to the actor and who it is, and the connection to the original film and the new film. And it's very emotional.
Yeah.
I think it honors the character. It honors the actor that plays the character. It plays into real life elements. And it's easy to figure out who I'm talking about, but if you don't think about it, I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Yeah, it's good. You just need to watch this movie.
People were crying.
It's really, it was.
A lot of people were tearing up in that moment.
There's a lot happening in this movie, and people were cheering. There were laughs, there were cries. It was all over. So you've got to see this movie. So
it's great.
Go check it out in theaters right now.
Even my dad went and saw it.
Which that blows my mind.
My dad hasn't been to a theater in at least 4 years, if not longer.
I was thinking like 10,
but probably. Because I'm sure they saw some kind of Jesus movie at the theater or something.
Probably.
But yeah, my mom, I'm talking to my mom, and she goes, "Yeah, your dad went with some friends from church. They went to see Top Gun." I'm like, "What?"
Did he like it?
Yeah, he goes, well, he told my mom, he goes, "Oh, it was really good." And then when I asked him today, when I saw him, I'm like, he goes all right. But that's my dad's way of saying he loved it.
Yeah, he liked it. Oh, good. I'm glad. So anyways, go check it out. It is good.
Top Gun Maverick in theaters now.
All right, then we're going to switch real quick to
a
little show.
This weekend was also Celebration, Star Wars Celebration, which I was very bummed because we are normally, as I have been,
we should be there right now.
I have been at every celebration since 2010. And I think you've been all except for one, because there's that one year you were traveling or working and couldn't go. And we were planning to go. This was supposed to happen in 2020. It got shut down because of the pandemic.
We were going to go.
Yeah, we already had scheduled. I had press passes. We were planning it. Then that got shut down. Then it was talked about they do in 2021. It kept getting pushed out. So We still would have gone this year, but we opted to do the Star Cruiser instead.
Yeah, we're going to the Star Cruiser, guys.
So if you don't know what the Star Cruiser is, stay tuned because in December you're going to hear all about it. We decided to do that instead. So thankfully, this year they live streamed a lot of it on YouTube, so you could watch the panels.
Which is nice.
You didn't get to see all the panel exclusive stuff.
Yeah.
So you didn't get to see the trailers and stuff that were exclusive to just that day. So that part kind of sucks. But I had plenty of friends there that were sending me reports and text messages and picking up swag and all that kind of stuff. Which when the stuff gets here, I'll show you the stuff I got. But they made so many announcements, and just because it's Star Wars Celebration doesn't mean they only talk about Star Wars. They're talking about Lucasfilm stuff. So one of them we're going to talk about first, which we just wanted to touch base on, the brand new streaming series Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
Which features the return of both, what's that guy's name? Oh, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Jesus.
As well as Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader. And then a plethora of other actors that have joined the cast. And if you don't know, the show is obviously takes place after Revenge of the Sith. It's 10 years later, and we're just kind of catching up with Obi-Wan, who has been living on Tatooine. His whole purpose in life is really just to exist and keep an secretly eye out on little kid Luke.
Correct.
He grows up.
Correct.
To where, as you know, in the original Star Wars, we see him when Luke's like 17, 18, whatever it is.
Correct.
So we've seen the first 2 episodes. They're streaming now. We're not going to give you any spoilers, but Disney I would like to know. I know you love Ewan McGregor.
I love Ewan McGregor. I'm convinced he is the nicest human on the planet. Right after Ant-Man, what's his name? I'm convinced
Paul
he's
Rudd.
the number 1 nicest person on the planet, and then
Even
probably
more than Tom Hanks.
Ooh, I think so.
Used to be Will Smith too, but now you don't know.
Paul Rudd, Tom Hanks, and then Ewan McGregor.
Well, everybody talked about Ewan McGregor was actually at Celebration for the first time signing autographs.
Missed it.
But everybody said he was a lovely, lovely man.
I bet he's lovely.
So what did you think of the first 2 episodes?
I loved it. I thought it was really interesting that we're not getting the story I thought we were getting. We're getting something different, but more.
Yeah.
So because in a way, one section, there's not a lot we can say because I think we already know.
Yeah. Which what I thought was clever about the thing is because you think you're going to go with the story that we know what his mission has been until we see him in A New Hope.
Yeah.
So you just assume that's what it's going to involve.
Yeah, but
it's going to evolve on just some random crap.
It makes sense that nothing necessarily needs
but it's still connected all that
there because now this is happening. Like, oh, we're going here.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting.
So essentially, the film
very
is
interesting.
And big props to Disney on the setup because they do a good recap. They kind of recaps all 3 prequel movies.
Very good.
If you don't want to watch them, you don't have to. I know a lot of people hate them. If you don't want to have to resit them, they just kind of touch on the highlights so that not only are you experiencing what got us to this point, but they also deal with kind of a PTSD element of Obi-Wan.
But you know what? And I'm glad they're doing that because...
And this is part of what I think Luke went through when we see him in The Last Jedi and whatnot. It's the same idea of the PTSD. And if you notice, without saying anything, Obi-Wan's kind of done the same thing to himself. But no, I don't see anybody yelling about it. But whatever. That's all I'm going to say.
No, because it's Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I mean, we have more respect for him than...
Do we?
Well,
not really.
People do.
But people are mad because he was doing this and they don't have more respect. But we can't do this publicly because I have to say things.
It doesn't matter.
We'll have it off
there. It doesn't matter. Anyways, I love the show. I think it's great. And I like where we're at in the story. And there's so many places we can go because of what we know happens later and some of the cartoons, the animated series. Yeah.
Which are all connecting to everything now.
Yeah, and I'm loving it. And I'm liking that we're getting to see new space things, new creatures.
We get to finally go to a planet we haven't gotten to go to live action before, but we've been hearing about since the very first movie.
So we're getting to see like some different things and different creatures and costumes and all that stuff. And I just find it fascinating that a lot of what we think we know we're seeing.
There's already some hate coming out of it against one of the young actors, the main young person. People are already talking about
get over it.
But I'm like, first of all, that's a child.
Yeah,
leave him alone. Secondly, that child is acting exactly like the character that it's portraying and the characters that are connected around it. So it's like I would expect this character to be an asshole and kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But
So,
anyway,
anyways,
all right, that's all we're gonna say about
so
that.
good, love it.
I think one of the best scenes of the whole movie is this little. I'll let you think and see if you can figure out what it is, and when we sign off, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
But I think it's a very throwaway, quick sequence between engaging another character that's not even part of the main story, but it's a perfect symbol to everything that happened in the prequels and where we're at in the change of the Empire and the change of the world.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what scene I'm talking about.
I think so.
So anyway, first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan are available now on Disney Plus, and you don't have to wait that long because they are going to be back to Wednesdays. So the next episode is next Wednesday. So we only got 3 days to wait.
Thank goodness.
Also through Celebration, I just want to give everybody a kind of quick update of some things that were talked about and told. And they announced the next season of The Bad Batch is coming, I believe, fall of 2022.
Okay.
Which is the spin-off animated series from Clone Wars. They have a series called Tales of the Jedi. That is another animated series, but it's animated shorts. They're the same animated style of the Clone Wars.
Okay.
And it's going to basically delve into the past of characters like Count Dooku and Ahsoka and Qui-Gon, which is bringing Liam Neeson back to voice Qui-Gon.
Nice.
But it's dealing with them like Ahsoka was a child, meeting Ahsoka's parents and seeing Qui-Gon as a Padawan, and you're seeing Dooku as a Jedi before he became Sith or whatever he is.
Yeah.
So there's those coming out.
That's gonna be good.
They announced the did the whole thing about Obi-Wan. What was the other thing they talked about? I made a big deal about the other day. They announced a new season of Star Wars Visions, which is the anime stuff that they put out, which is each thing was like a single animated cartoon from different animators and different studios. This next season, they're doing it from more countries than just Japan and anime style. Then there was another kid show. I think it was Jedi. I don't remember if it's Jedi Academy or something like that. It's like to me like a kid thing. They announced a new series called Star Wars Skeleton Crew.
Nice.
I believe it's a series. It's either a series or a movie. I don't remember now. But they announced it that has Jude Law is going to be in it. We don't know what he's playing, but they said it basically stars 4 kids that are on the run. It almost sounds like it has a Stranger Things vibe. They said it stars kids, but it is not a kid's show.
Oh,
so we don't really know the premise outside of that. Some of the big things: Mandalorian season 3, which is coming this next year. They talked about stuff like that. They talked about the new season of Ahsoka, of her series. The big announcement from the Ahsoka series is bringing some of the real life Rebels characters in, including Ezra, Sabine, Hera,
I'm so excited,
and Chopper himself will all be making live action appearances.
So excited!
So there's been a lot of stuff come out.
Love that show.
We didn't get to be there, but we still got to experience it and some of the great. If you go to YouTube and look up Star Wars Celebration, you can watch all 4 days their live things and see the interviews. Mm-hmm. There's some great interviews. There's some touching interviews of seeing some of these celebrities that became part of, like the girl playing Sabine. She's like, I've known for a year that I was going to play this character. She goes, I'm so excited. And she's got this energy. You can tell she's so excited to play her and she wants to talk about it. And the guy there's a character from Mandalorian season 1 that's coming back. And he was all stupid excited. And he goes, I didn't ever know I'd be part of this. I'm just an actor, So anyway, it's really fun to watch. Check it out.
It's a lot of fun. Okay. Over to you for...
what's coming out this week?
Yeah.
It's kind of a small week because of the holiday. They don't usually put out a ton of stuff. So we do have the Untouchables 4K that we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. They're also releasing Clint Eastwood's A Fistful of Dollars on 4K. Yeah. A Few Dollars More is also coming on 4K, which is a sequel. And I think that's it. There's a few things, like some 1776, Double Indemnity. Chan is Missing, some different Criterion Collection stuff. That's kind of it. It's nothing major this week.
Yeah. This week's also kind of slow on the line. Coming out on Tuesday to Prime Video, there's a movie called Paris, 13th District. It's just about young lovers in Paris and a group of friends and all that. So that's Tuesday. Coming out Thursday, June 2nd. This may be near you. It's a one-day only event called Fortune Favors Lady Nikuko. If that's near you, check it out. It's about a mother who's kind of like the crazy lady of the little town and the implications it has for her daughter. Coming out on Friday, there's not really a whole lot. It's a small week. Yeah, so coming to Hulu, there's something called Fire Island, and it's like a rom-com, and it's basically a gay man version. I'm trying to say this correct. It's like the queer version of a Jane Austen Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, is that what that is? They keep sending me stuff about it, and I haven't.
But I want to make sure you understand it's about gay men.
Yeah,
if you're looking for gay women,
I gathered
it's not.
That they
it's
keep
about the
sending
men.
To me, but I didn't ignore it because of what it was. I ignored it because
I want to make sure I say it correctly. Because
scroll up real quick. Is that coming up? Where
there's
there?
Some limited.
Oh, Snark. Okay, that's what I'm looking forward to. Really
then coming out to Disney Plus, Hollywood Stargirl. It's just a little journey of this girl into stardom and music and making her dreams come true. Coming to Netflix, Interceptor. This one stars Elsa Pataki, also known as Mrs. Chris Helmsworth, who you may also know from Fast and the Furious. She is the officer in charge at a nuclear military base, and some guys are trying to get onto the base and take over. And so this one, she actually looks really badass. She's all like beefed up for this movie, man. So if
looks like he's in it too.
Well, no, he executive produced it. I checked.
Well, he must be Mr. Netflix now, by the way, because
he had that show.
He has. Well, they're doing a sequel to that movie.
Yep.
He has another movie coming out, I think, called Spearhead.
Yeah.
That's him and Miles Teller and stuff, which looks crazy.
Yeah, so it has his name on the cast, but I went and looked it up. He's actually executive producing
he might
this
be in the movie.
He might be somewhere in the background. He's not listed as one of the main cast. Yeah. But it's Elsa, which I love her anyway.
If you don't know her, her probably the biggest thing she does. She was in some of the Fast and Furious movies.
But she
was the
Chris Helmsworth,
one of the police officer agents that kind of had a romantic thing with Vin Diesel briefly.
Correct, but she's like beefed up in this movie. I went and looked it up, so that's really it. I mean, there's a couple of things in limited release, maybe near you. What is this? The Story of Dinosaur Jr.
Right there. No, that's not what I thought it was. Never mind.
Yeah, so it's a small week.
Yeah, it usually is when it's holiday time. It's usually not as much good. But I have some stuff like I have a movie called The Agent Game. We have Ip Man, The Awakening, some other stuff to watch. So
yeah, so we'll have something. I am going to watch that movie with Elsa Pataki because I love her.
And we have other stuff we haven't seen yet anyway. So
yep. All right. So that's it for today.
All right.
Tell me about late contests.
Well, the contests, we have one new one in there. Other ones are kind of ones that are lingering. A couple of them we're going to finally do the choosing for. But we have the new Ip Man movie, Ip Man, The Awakening. It has nothing to do with the Donnie Yen films. It's a completely separate Ip Man movie. There's been a bunch of them. We'll talk about that one later. Row 19, we'll probably talk about that next week as well. That one's a horror flick. Invincible, this one's fixing to wrap up. The Batman, we have one of those on 4K to give away. We're going to be pulling that one probably in the next week or so after I get all the things tallied. I haven't had time. The Long Night, which is a horror flick we talked about on here. And lastly, the 4K of Singing in the Rain.
There you go. All right. Well, friends. That's all that's happening right now. So thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Make sure you go to our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. Click on the contest button for the free stuff. Please go find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Go like, go share, go subscribe, thumbs up, send hearts, send bubbles, send stars. We will take all of it, and we will see you next week.
And make sure to check out our YouTube channel, because not only do we do this show live on Facebook and YouTube, we're posting as many of the new trailers as I can get to. So there's going to be some of the new Star Wars stuff that got released. There's all kinds of random stuff that gets popped up. So just be on the lookout of different things, And if you have something you want to hear us talk about, or a movie review, or anything else, even if it's an old movie, shoot us a message.
We'll talk about
nonsense. Who cares? We'll do it.
There you go.
Let's go.
Bye.